Okay, so I've just got to adjust the camera a little. Hopefully it doesn't fall out of its little holder. There we go. Now we're up to the last little bit here, and I'm going to do figure eights, but normally I would start the figure eights and have them come down in a really, big way, but I want to still keep this technically micro quilted, I suppose, really densely quilted. And if I do the figure eights in one big thing, they're going to be too open and too sparse. So excuse my so what I'm going to do, I'm just thinking how I'm going to do this, because I like to make them different sizes. So just going to put my needle and thread down there, and I'm going to, hello again, Sue. I'm going to make some lines, just a zigzag, just a random thing. I mean, I could even make them a little bit, maybe I might do them a little bit more wavy, and you'll see what I mean when I do this. And I'm going to just come over this way and have it come out. Now I noticed that over here, if I kept going there, it would pinch, so I'm just going to go from this side, put my needle down and just grab that and go across. Now I'm going to go over these lines twice. I'm not going to make them 3 or 4 times like I did the others. I just want to make them a little bit heavier than just a single stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to travel back up there, and then I'm going to go, and you can see how it's pinching at the edge, which is perfectly fine and normal for what's going on with it. And I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to, and you can see I've got little sections going on here. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to cut off, and I want to start, and I'm just going to try and keep this out of the way. Just let me roll her up for a minute and pin it down, just to keep it out of your sight. So what we're going to do is start from this end and work our way across, and we're going to do that probably that way. We'll see how we go. I'll see how I go. All right, just depends on how deep I can do it. You can see it's got a pinch there. It's not a major concern, but I need to just take note that it's there. So I'm going to do this in, if I can find my piece of paper. So figure eights, just move this over. Whoops, a daisy, sorry guys. Down. So figure eights are going to start like that. Oops, a daisy, pen's not working. There we go, like that. So come behind, 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 and you can make them long. And the idea is to actually have, see how they're touching? That's what you want. All right, so you don't want this gap in between, you want them touching. All right, so to do that, I needed to create areas. And the thing you got to remember is you always, when you come up, you got to go behind and then down and behind. Don't come forward because you'll confuse yourself. So I'm going to go up and then down, up and then down, behind, up and behind, up and behind. And I'm just going to keep going all the way across, and I'm keeping them fairly tight together. You can, make them wider and all sorts of shapes, but I'm just trying to keep these close, just to keep the flow of the tight quilting going on. And I'm I'm literally going from the top right back down to here. And you can probably understand now why I broke it down into smaller areas, because if I tried to do that in that big area, they would have really big open areas in between each loop. So the idea is to keep them tight. That was a very thin one, but that's alright. I'll just adjust accordingly. And you sort of see it makes this crossover thing. It's quite effective. So you come forward and then go behind. Forward and behind. Forward and behind, and you just keep going from one end to the other until you get right up. Oops, I've got a bit of a gap there. That's alright. That's the worst I can do today. I'm laughing. Up and back, up and back, until I get right to the end. One last little one at the end, and then I'm going to stop. Alright, so I'll just cut that off, and then you can see that there, how it creates that sort of crossover thing, and they're nice and tight together. So what I might do is go from this way across. I'll start in a small end. I tend to like to start in a smaller end if I can. And I'm going out and back, out and back, out and back. Okay, out and back. Any questions, or if you'd like me to explain it again with the drawing or anything like that, just ask. I'm happy to reiterate. I didn't change that bobbin while I was offline, but I should have. That was a bit naughty, silly. Alright, so I'm coming up to a really funky area, which is going to shorten. I'm going to have to go up along now, come down here, and up, and then a bit of a wiggle. Let it cut off, okay? Now, I'm up to the next one, so that's row 2, 1 and 2. Alright, and I'm going to start in this little short bit again and come to the outside. Oops, a daisy, a bit of wobble. And out, and around, out and back, out. So come to the right and to the left. Right, loop it over to the left. Right to the left. You can see I've got a little knot there. I'm going to get rid of that in a minute. And back and forth. Right, now normally I'd like to start here and work my way in, but I'm going to probably start this way and work my way out because I've got a little bit of an opening and it will push. You can see that little bit of thread there. I'm going to trim that off now. I'll end up stitching it in anyway. And that gets rid of him. Oops, oh, a little bit more. And it gets rid of it now. Okay, so bring my thread out. So it actually buries. You can see there's some pinching going on there. That's because it's so dense. And I have 2 layers of wadding. Okay. Stitch that down, up, and down, up to that point and down, up to the next point up there and down, up and down, missed the edge of this one a couple of times, so I'm actually going to fix it up by going over that seam that I've created there a few times just to flatten that down. I don't want that pinched look there at the edge. So I'm just going to move it around to where I can see it. You can see it here. Get that little bit of black thread out there. I don't know where that come from. I'm just going to hang on to it and just stitch in here. Just make that line just one little bit thicker than the usual. And that fixes that problem. And guess what? It's stitched. Look, it's done. Hi, Stella. I have just finished that section. Now, I did, you might have to rewind for later, but you can see on the bottom of this, if I show you, can you see all the threads and everything? Like, I've just gone through and given this baby a bit of a shave. And you might go, what do you mean a shave? I'm going to show you. So I have a little tool that I have here, and it's called the Quick Ripper. And I just changed the batteries on it because they were running out. But they get off all those little threads and that I don't want on the back. You do have to be careful not to cut your fabric. Yeah, it just gets rid of them, cleans them up enough. I'm not standing there with a pair of scissors for the next hour trying to clean up that one little area. Okay, and then that's pretty much cleaned up and ready to go to the next step. Every now and then I do see extra little threads and I just come back and a bit of a trim, little knots. I'll turn it off if I can find the button, and that is that one, the Quick Ripper. Alrighty, so I'll give it a shake, get rid of all the threads. That is all done. I'll just lift that up. So that is now, I think I had one spot I remember saying that I need to go over it with black, but I can't find it. I can't remember where I had it. which is obviously means it wasn't that bad. Because I can't find it and I can't remember where it was. Anywho, we'll keep going. So the next thing to do is for us to trim it. So I'm going to take it over to the table and I'm going to grab the camera. Actually, what I might do is move some stuff over and bring the mat over here so then I don't have to unplug the camera. Alright, bear with me while I get my old self ready. Turn the camera around. There you go, you can see where I'm going to be. Okay, I'll just sit and see if I can do this sitting. So when we're ready to cut these, because we're going to now bind it, so I need to look at an average. I need to find a straight side and I need to have it where I've got a 1/4 inch, you know, between the spot where I want to have the seam or the edge of the binding and just come a 1/4 inch from that. Then I need to just basically create a straight edge. So my straight edge is going to be there. I'm not lining it up anywhere here. I'm just making a straight edge. So nice sharp blade helps. Okay, I've got my gloves on, see? Yeah, so gloves are still on and I'm using the blade. Then I turn it and I just utilise the board a little bit. I don't utilise it a lot because the lines on the board can change all the time, because as you're cutting and that you're rearranging the shape of the board, and it might only be a mil or two here and there, but it's enough to make a difference. So actually I might leave those glasses back on. So the next thing, I need to figure out how far from the last petal or leaf or whatever, or you know, painted bit, do I come out the side. So I'm going to come out 1.5 inches, but then I look at the top and I go, well, that's too, you know, that's out in that edge bit where I don't want to be. So I need to line up the bottom of my ruler, or the line on the bottom of my ruler here, and line it up with the straight edge I just made. Okay, and that will give me a line along the edge where I'm going to cut there. It's around about 1 inch from the last outside leaf, and I'm taking that note into my little head and I'm making note of that so that when I come to the next side, and also watching where that heart is, I don't want that to be too far off either, so that'll be just inside the seam, which means I might actually just move over a fraction more, give it 1 inch and a little, 1/8, and then trim that down there. Oops, a daisy. Because I'm sitting and not standing, I can't get the pressure on. Okay, then I use, again, I just lay it sort of roughly square, or on a square line, like a straight line, but I don't use the board. Again, I'm going to use this ruler. There's a line, I pick a line, I normally go for the heavy line, and then I will put that line across there, and it creates that 90-degree angle that I want, okay? And then I hold it down, and I'm noticing I'm a good distance from the last painted piece, and I cut across. I can see here this is going to be a little bit of an issue, so I'm going to just stitch that down just in case it shows. I don't want it to show, so I want it to just blend in. Now, if I look at my quilt from top to bottom and side to side, again, I want to be sort of equal. So this over here, this which you can't really see, hang on, let me just put that up a bit. Or will it let me? This is a good question without turning it off. There we go. So this bit here, this leaf, the edge of that was just over an inch. So I want to make sure I'm at least an inch from this leaf here that's under the ruler. So it's the outer edge, and I make sure my line is straight at the top and straight at the bottom on that edge. Okay, so these two lines here I've already cut, and I've created that straight edge on both those. Then I run this down and I take a good look at it and I go, right, I can see that I've got too much on this edge here. I need to come in. This edge is going to be a little bit closer than this side, so it's going to be more to one side than the other. So again, I take a good look at where that leaf is. So I don't want it to be in my seam, but it can be close to the seam. That's all good. So I'm just lining up this line and this line here, which you probably can't see on there, but they're lines on the rulers. The ruler has, and I'm cutting it probably 3/4 of an inch from that leaf. So I'm cutting another 1/4 of an inch off, which should mean that that there is another little spot. So this one here and this one up here, I'm just going to run under the machine. All right, so I'm going to turn the machine, the camera back around, and there. Come back over here, and because they're on the corner, they're a bit hard to get to. So I'm just going to hold my hand here and hope for the best. So put my foot down, and I'm just going to stipple that in, because it should literally be almost under the seam, but I just want it not to be all poofy and fluffy. And you can see my basting stitch there, so I might get in and get a pair of tweezers and get that little bit out, and just cut that off. And I'm just going to undo that basting stitch. Even though I've stitched over it, it'll still come out because it's fairly big. Just undo that. Just the ones you can see, you don't want them there being an eyesore. And there it is. And we'll just grab those out. And you can see how tiny some of these stitches are. To get them underneath them is a bit hard. So if I can pull them out enough to get a hold of them, I might even be able to get the clipper onto them, just enough to get rid of them. So where's my little clipper-doodah gone? Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. So I'm going to just get a bit of a haircut. Any of those big stitches will get picked up in this because big stitches are loose. You can see they're all pretty much gone. There we are. You can see those big stitches there at the edge. Just grab them with the edge of this and get rid of them. Okay. They will disappear into the binding, but I just wanted to have that a little bit neater there, and I'm going to do the same at this end. I might just save myself the hassle and see if I can get some of that out first. I do like to leave them in until I've stitched it because they hold it down. But to remove them, there we go. They're pretty easy to get out, which I do like, the fact that they're nice and easy. And I'll just get this little doodah again and just give them a bit of a shave. Any long furry bits can come off. And I'll just have a quick check on the back there. It's nice and loose, so we'll just give that a quick shave. Get rid of them all. One more. And some there. And I'm just manipulating it a little bit just to make it do what I want it to do. There we go. Okay, so let's do this corner. And it looks like feathering, so I might just, and I've done some stippling in between, so I'll just do that stipple thing again, and that will hold it all down. Any questions at all so far? You see, it's just grab the corner there, but that'll go into the binding. Okay, all right, I'll just neaten up that edge, a little bit of a haircut. I love this machine, did I tell you that? So this just neatens up the edge for me. Nice. Beautiful. All right, so before I actually change my thread and do anything else, a bit of a shake, I am going to do my signature block. I'm not going to make it huge, but I am going to use it, do it as like a little square block. I've just got to find a fabric that's big enough. I'll use that. Just needs a bit of wadding behind it, which I'll grab. I have a bit there. No, I'll cut some off over here. Now, that's it there. Massive, huge. So, I'm just going to go and iron that down just to make it flat, and then I'm going to draw some lines on it. Okay, so there we are, nicely ironed. I don't know if that's getting that video is going to get everything that I want in. There we go, try that. Okay, so I'm just going to lift that foot up. Now, before I actually change out of my free motion foot, I want to do this. I'm going to change out of this thread and use a black thread. So otherwise, you're just not going to see that on there. It's just going to vanish. So I'll change back to my Rosant in the top. And put that on. I haven't changed any settings on my machine at all. And like I say, this old workhorse is an absolute treasure. I still use her. I'll just pull that through and cut it off. I'm going to change my bobbin out. And I'm going to put the black one in. So I can't see any comments, so I'm sorry if people are commenting or anything. They're not seem to be showing up or anything. So if you're wanting to say hello and I don't reply, I do apologise, but I can't seem to see anything. All right. So what I'm going to write on here is made with love. But I need to have a straight line. I did have my little ruler here somewhere. I think I popped it over there. I did. Okay, so I'm just going to go make a straight line across there. It doesn't have to be immaculately perfect. And I'm giving myself a little bit of space at the top and bottom. All right. We're just engrossed. Okay. All right. So this will not go anywhere, but if I did want to stop it from moving, I can just put a couple of pins in, but for such a small piece, I wouldn't bother. If you're really, really stressed about it, just do like a basting stitch. Well, see, it's going to grab that little nasty darling. It's because my needle's getting worn too, so just remember that. And this is, see how it's the edge of the fabric? It could chuck a wobbly. Oh, I know what it is too. I don't have a backing on it. I don't need to put a backing on it. Hi, Glenda. How are you? So even though you're not going to see the backing, when I use this, and it doesn't matter if it's just a bit of scrap, but when I utilize, when I quilt this, I want it to run smoothly along my machine. So it's smoother here. If I don't and just have the wadding there, it's going to be quite rough. So I'm just going to try again, and I'm just going to hold on to that top thread. There we go. That's a bit happier. Little bit happier. So I'm just going to move that out and over. Slow the machine down. All right. So we're just going to, just a couple of really big stitches. You can see it's pulling on it. And I'm just going to fight it and make it do what I want it to do. Alright, so it's grabbing, it's pulling it down. Like I said, that will be my needle. It is flat. It is absolutely blunt as blunt can be, because I've done so much work on it. And I can hear Wendy in the background just about screaming at me to tell me to change it. So I'm going to in a minute, before I do any more sewing. I'm just trimming off these massive threads because they will get in my way. So before I quilt it, I'm going to change the needle. I'm just going to sew that bottom row down. And I know that you're all going to scream at me about changing my needle, but I think, I know, it's come out. Yep. The threads come out. Make sure it's still threaded through there. It is. Got stuff hanging off me. Just lift the needle up a fraction. Have you been enjoying your weekend with your online videos and sales and stuff like that from the Great Australian Craft Show? I hope you've all been enjoying yourselves. I'm just going to move it forward and then up again and forward, and you can see I'm holding onto that thread. Now I should be able to just grab it and move it along, just to stabilize it for me. Because it's so small, it's just going to make an absolute shocking mess if I don't have it stabilized. We'll stitch down. All right, now I'm going to change this needle. And I'm going to change it for another size 16. Sorry, my hands are in the way. Come on, there you go. All right, so good, Stella, that's awesome. We've got one more day, hey, tomorrow. So I'm using a size 16 top stitch, superior needle. I love these. Like I say, they're brilliant for what I do. If you can't find them, just use the Janome. I think they're purple tip, I think. Wendy will be able to tell me. I can't remember. Either blue tip, I think, which is a denim needle, or a purple tip. Alright, so just make sure that that is there. I've only tightened it up by hand. I'm going to tighten it up by a screwdriver because I do not, under any circumstances, want it coming out. Alright. So don't ever just tighten it up by hand. Always do it by screwdriver, okay? Now, I'm going to write on here, made with love. Now, I'm just going to put there from Sue. Do you want Sue, if you're still there, you still there? I'm hoping Sue is still on board. Before I start stitching. Okay, Sue, would you like Made with Love from Sue or Mum, or what does she call you? Yes, there is. Very big delay. Susie, sure. Alrighty, I'll just write it down, otherwise, yes. Alright, let's see how I go. Got a new needle in. Theoretically speaking, everything should be bloody brilliant. Alright, foot down, needle down. What's it doing? Foot down, needle down, everything's fine. Right. Oh, look at it pushing in there. Alright, let's see if we can get this baby going. Alright, I've got to speed her up a little. And I could have to stop and start a lot. Alright, bear with me. Okay, let's try it. Keep going. If it doesn't work, I'll do another one. I don't like how it's crunching up, so I might don't like how it's doing that. I might change it for a smaller needle. Bear with me. That one might be a bit too thick for what I want to do. I might change it for a 70. Come on. Oops a daisy. Try this way. 5 needles in the pack. Couldn't remember how many needles there were before, could I? Alright, there's my other little pack in there. Go in there. And try again. There. fat fingers. Oops, I went the wrong way. Come on, darling. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, we don't. Come on, you silly looking thing. Go in where you're supposed to go. There's the flat side. What for you not go in? I told you. Put up. There we go. It helps when I have the foot up. All right, let's tighten that off. Yeah. All right, thread that needle again. And oh, that didn't work, did it? Try up. There we go. All right, let me just grab another bit of fabric. I'll quickly do that too. Oh, here it is. I'll even make it a little bit longer so I can grab on. Okay, I'll try it without buffing. It makes it really thick, but let's give it a go, hey. And I'll go freehand and I'll wing it. Alright, let's see how I go. I can always square it up if I go crooked. That's better. Alright, so that works. That's much better. Alright, perfect. Alright, let's try again. I'll put some lines on it. Alright, we'll just put some lines on it, just to give me a bit of a guide. So I'll give myself plenty of room. So I'm going Made with Love. That one there. Okay, let's try again one more time. Right. For you eyelash. I'm gonna lower that down a bit, see if that makes a difference. Cut off. Thinking whether I go there or Made with. She's not being nice to me at the moment, so if I'm pulling up, I might slow it right down. Hi Michelle, can you tell me about the gloves you're wearing, please? Suzanne, yes, so these are quilters gloves. They're called the Nifty Quilters gloves. They have the rubber in the center of your palm. They slip on quite easily, or you can Velcro them on. They go over the center finger. It makes it so that you can handle thread, like you've seen me change needles and handle thread. It also means that it makes me put my hands down flat so that I'm not doing this full-on grabbing thing and creating tension and also creating strain in my neck and ergonomically incorrect movements that we do. So it's they're just brilliant gloves. Honestly, I can't rave enough about them. They're about $36 each. They're on my website. So it's the W's with michellespatchwork.com. So www.michellespatchwork.com. And you go to the store and search for Nifty or Quilters gloves and they'll come up. I love them. I absolutely love them. Also, I overheat, you know, with the old menopausal stuff that we get. That we're so lucky to have. I actually overheat with normal gloves, but many a time I walk around and I have them on and I don't even know that I've got them on. So these are gloves that I like to promote and I do sell on my site. I just adore them, absolutely adore them. And once you start using them, you'll never go back to anything else. I can guarantee you. So, I think that's all done, and I'll just sign it. Where's my little, get rid of that little booger. Oh no, that looks all right. I think I'm up too close. Made with love from Susie, and I might just, I'll sign here. Where's it? What's that doing? What is that? I knew I could feel something. No worries, Suzanne, anytime. I might just put down here, I'll just sign it. There, and I'll just put no, don't like that, it's got to come off. Watch me get that off. Oh, jeez. Hang on, I'll get it off. Yeah, so I'm taking longer to do a signature block than I am to quilt the whole silly looking thing, aren't I? Oh, that didn't work. Alright, I'm going to paint over it. Okay, or I could cut it off. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll cut it off. Made with love of Susie, and I will sign. Actually, if I sign over here, yeah, I'll go and buy. I'll sign over here. I'll try again. Alright, let me take it over here. I'll turn this around so you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see what I'm up to. I'm going to just trim this back. Now, if I trim without setting a straight edge, you know what's going to happen, don't you? I'm going to have a crooked writing. So, I'm just hopefully doing this correctly, otherwise I'll be doing again. Alright, so do it right first time. Well, they say measure twice, cut once. Just get that leveling up. Because I didn't do it before, I have to do it now. So I've got all those bits off. I'm just going to straighten that first seam that I did before. Just noticed it's a little bit off, only by a fraction. And down. Then what I'm going to do is grab those scissors I had before. I'm just going to trim up those little dirty Harrys. Okay, let's give them a bit of a trim. Okay, now I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to trim this back a little bit away from the edge of the fabric, give myself an edge that I can turn under. And there we go, all that mess is gone. And then turn that. Okay, so now I've cut back a bit from the actual edge. I'm going to grab my iron and oops, bring it over here. I'm going to move my mat and everything else. So just plug all this in, turn it on, move that, and move all that out of the way so I don't warp my mat. This is one of these things I made myself. You can make these using anything really. Alright, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a press. This is one of those Oliso irons that pop up, so makes it easier. I can walk away from it, and if I forget it, which you know is not unusual, then it doesn't set my place on fire. So I'm going to turn it under. So just bear with me because I'm going to do it a bit left-handed because the iron's at the other side. And I don't have the steam on, and that's how come I can get my finger so close to it without burning myself. Okay, so once I have that over, I just then press again from the other side and just make sure it's reasonably straight. You know, these things aren't perfect, but it'll be straight-ish. Okay. I'll just put that back down there. My fat fingers around it. So, Sue, you're going to have to tell her who I am and what I am and where it's come from. and she can watch the videos on how it was made if she wants to. They're on YouTube. Do you sell those irons? Karen, no, but you can get them. I used to have them. You can get them from Statewide Sewing Centre. They have them all over the Statewide Sewing Centre. So I think you're in South Australia, aren't you? I think you are. So if you're in South Australia, you could probably get it sent from the Ballarat one. They'd be happy to do that, I'm sure. They are hard to get at a good price, but they are, yes. So I would probably think you'd be, you know, they're normally around about the $100 odd, $200 mark. They're not cheap, but geez, I tell you what, they save a lot of headache. And I've had mine now for about 3 years, and she gets a lot of usage, and yeah, still just keeps going. So, but when you first get them, you've got this bad habit of doing this. And look at the bottom of mine. I haven't even cleaned it for ages. So now I've got them that all like that, and you can see I've sort of just folded over the edges and that. I'm literally going to turn that little corner in and then fold them in. And I'm going to stick a little bit of glue. I'm going to cheat. So, let me find the glue. I know I did have it in here. Don't know where I've put it, so I'll grab a newie. So these are only like $7, these glues. They're just, I've had them for a while now. And Spotlight sell the pink one. Yes, they do, yeah. And it's probably be cheaper from the Spotlight. Because they buy in such bulk, they can sell them cheaper. They've sort of got, you know, a bit more pull than some of the smaller ones. So I'm just putting a little bit in the corner of each. It's just a dab. Yeah, and these are only $7, so cheaper than some of the other brands, and they work beautifully, especially if you're doing a needle turn. So I'm just going to put a little bit along there and turn it over. This is so I don't have to baste it. Okay, I'll go just a little bit more, just under there. And I'm going to chuck the iron on it in a minute, and that will also help to set it a bit. And going to turn that over there, push down, and just on the end, didn't grab. I know Spotlight sometimes have them on sale for, like, you know, the $99 mark, but mine I think I paid about $230 for, and that's I think what they are, they retail at. So I don't know what they are at Spotlight any other time of the year, and I do know, unless you are there when the store actually opens with that sale on, you'll pretty much miss out. They go very quickly. So I'm just gluing it down a little, just so it makes my life a little bit easier when I come to putting it on, because I'm going to probably do a nice crafty looking running stitch. Okay, that's that. Yeah. Alright, I'll turn this over this way. You can see it's a little bit pointy on that end. I'll just lift that end up before I glue it down a bit more. Just straighten her up a bit. Oh, the dogs want in. They can wait, I'm busy. Alright, let's try that. and I can push it down a little. Okay, that's that, ready to go on. So there it is there, all ready to go. And I'm going to probably, these don't wind up and down, I don't think. Oh yes, they do. Yeah, they do. I tell a lie. And the refills of these are like only a few bucks, I think. But I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the bottom of these. You can also use kids' craft glue, you know, either. Just letting candy in. Now I've got Tui. Come on, Tui. We're going to have a bit of a wander around and silliness that they do. So now I've got this one. I'm going to turn it over and it's going to go on the bottom right hand side. Okay, so it'll go about there. And with the heat from this, it will just sort of hold long enough for me to run a hand stitch around it. Okay. Okay. Just holds enough. But you'd want to do it, you know, sort of reasonably straight away. So I'm going to sew that on, so that'll be ready. Now, the next thing I also want to do is the binding. Now, I've chosen a black binding, and the reason being is because it'll just act as a frame. So I'm going to just log off for a while. I'm going to hand sew this on while I'm off, and I'll come back and we'll do the binding and the sleeve. All right, so I'll see you back here in about half an hour or so, and we'll come and do the rest of it. All right, won't be long and it'll be finished. See you soon.